All right, go ahead.
James chapter 2, verse 9. If ye have respect to persons, ye committed sin, and are convicted of the law as transgressors.
Keep going.
Verse 10. For whosoever shall keep the whole law, and yet offendeth in one point, he is guilty of all.
You see that? You see that? Like Christ was just saying when we read in Matthew 23, like they done had people paying tithes and doing all this other stuff and jumping around, hooping and hollering and coming up and showing up every Sunday and doing all, but you have omitted the weightier matters of the law. When at the end of the day, when you commit one of them, it's like you committed them all. That's why in Deuteronomy 28 it says, if you do and keep all my commandments, then I'll set you on high, not some of them. So the point I was trying to make with all of that, the brother asked a question about getting tape ups and all of that. We showed you the law in Leviticus that you shouldn't round the corners of your head, nor mar the corners of your beard, different things like that. So you shouldn't be getting the Egyptian American tape up to try to look clean, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case may be. You're really doing it for a woman. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? Some brothers I done seen coming to the truth, they be like, oh, I ain't gonna be able to get no job. I ain't gonna be able to do this, that, or the other. And the Lord with you, then even your enemies become at peace with you. When you serving the Lord, when you do what you're supposed to do, when you keeping them laws, statutes, and commandments. So, that's the law on it. It's not frowned upon in this school to get a tape up. We're not doing it because we are not sinning against the Lord, no matter how small it may seem to anybody else. All right. Did I answer your question out? All right. Most High in Christ. For everybody online, it's Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, back in 1969. Now under Commanding General Yohana, I'm Priest and Officer Kazak Damar, ISUPK, Jacksonville, Florida. It's Truth 101 class. Every Monday night, we go through the basics of being in this truth. If you just came in this truth, you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them in the chat. Yama Yan, go and log on into it. Make sure you hold me down if anybody got any questions on the YouTube. And if you want to call in, the number to the class is 305-985-5453. 305-985-5453. Let me go ahead and copy this over to the Facebook, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Anybody else got any questions while I'm doing that? Go ahead.
So I had a question on Book of Matthew chapter 27, verse 52 and 53.
All right, first give me your question, and then we'll go into it. All right. What's the question?
My question is, it says that I just pretty much want to know what it meant in these verses. And the verses says pretty much that it was after Yahushua died. It said that they were bodies of saints that were dead, and they rose up, and they went into the city and appeared to people. I was just curious as to what that meant. Like if they were like ghosts or something. I've been doing.
Yeah, nah. This first of all, let's get this. Let's get this. Okay. When you go back to this time, right, and what was going on, there was a lot of quote unquote strange things that happened. But the Lord was trying to make a point. All right. Things that have not happened since, and things that had not happened before time was happening when Yahweh was on the earth. All right. So when you see in there, like when he got baptized and the cloud came out the sky and a voice came from heaven and different things like that. To a carnal person, they'll say, okay, well, this is like a fairy tale or something like that. Or when these bodies got up out of the grave and different stuff like that, they're like, well, so you trying to tell me that this happened and there's no record of this happening, right? But at the end of the day, these are the records. The record that we're reading is the only, it's like right now, if Officer in the shot was to start writing down, what happened, I would start writing down when I came into the truth. Well, it was just one brother down, and then we had this class over the phone. This happened. Then all of a sudden, when we went to the Passover, you know what I'm saying? The gas tank fell, and we had to drop the gas tank, put the gas tank back on to get to the Passover. And a brother, we left with 3 cars, came back with 2. This brother did this. Something happened that it was amazing. This happened where we should have died. All of this different thing, right? I tell you a story. Last year, I flipped the car over, got out that joint running, and went to camp the next day. To somebody who is carnal, they'll be like, nah, ain't no way that happened. It didn't really happen, right? But you looking at the words that somebody wrote and telling you what happened at the time. So I had an issue coming into the truth with certain things. I'd be like, I don't know if he really walked on water and all of this. But what you have to understand, and it's the same thing. If you're going to believe that Moses parted the Red Sea, if you're going to believe, that he was raising the dead, then what you have to do is understand that the Lord was doing something different. It's a scripture in there. One of the priests could get it for me where it say, I can't really get the words, but it's like things that hadn't happened before this time, neither will they happen again, or something like that. If somebody could get that, now we're going to go into the scripture the brother was asking. But before we even go into it, I'm going to let you know this is speaking literally. This is not figuratively. This actually happened. All right. Now, the breakdown on it, on what it actually was, I ain't gonna be able to break it down to a point like maybe a general, maybe even Officer Shawar or somebody like that would be. But I've asked this same question, and this is something that literally happened. Go ahead and read what the brother was having an issue with, though.
Book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 52. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose. Verse 53. And came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many.
Okay, so this is not just saying that 1 or 2 people saw them. Like when Christ came back, it'll say, his disciples, he came to his disciples, they saw him, different things like this. This is talking about people who are already in a grave, who gave up the ghost, getting the spirit put back into them, getting up out that grave and coming back. Now, in most cases, this is something that would be unbelievable. But you got to think about it like this. Christ had already healed a man that was dead for days, stinking, right? Anybody know what I'm talking about?
That's Lazarus.
Okay. And then you got the valley of dry bones where you was dead and stinking as well. And the Lord came and healed you and wake you up and put his spirit on you, and you go back and you show yourself to the niggas in the hood. You show yourself to your family members, and they like, I can't believe it. He don't sound like himself. He got something else going on, but this is him. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them things where it's in the Bible, and I got to take it for face value until I know anything else. And when I got the breakdown, a brother explained it to me how this happened, gave me other examples, but this is literal. This is literally people who were dead got out of their graves. And I don't know if they went and died again or went back. The Bible don't speak about this. But you got to think about this is a short amount of time. This is once Christ was resurrected. Maybe it was the Lord showing his power that he could resurrect more than Christ. And maybe this was an example of how Christ was the first fruit. Somebody give me that. The first fruit of them that slept. Somebody give me that. That Christ wasn't going to be the last one to be resurrected from the dead, even if he was the first one. All right. So Calvin, yeah, exactly what it says in there. You ought to believe that, believe in that. You know what I'm saying? Then you might be better at Egyptology. Slakia. Because under normal circumstances, the Red Sea ain't gonna part under normal circumstances, a small army is not going to beat a big army. A regular man ain't going to slay a giant. You know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. A woman ain't going to, turn into a hill of stones, and all of the things that you see in the Bible. Some of the things are figurative, but this is one of them where it's literally talking about that's what happened. And it might have been for a short time that the Lord was just, making a point or a statement. But we could ask this again on Thursday. I could go ahead and ask this again on Thursday in General Muhammad's class. If I'm not at the slate, what I'll do is I'll ask Officer Shawar and we can get it. But for what I know, this literally happened. All right. Did you have another question?
No, I was just saying, I want to know, because I read this a long time ago. I want to know if it was literal or if it was something spiritual.
Oh yeah, this was literal. There were spirits put back in them bodies, and they got up. Somebody else got the precepts I asked for.
Swap the other one.
Go ahead.
I was looking for the first one, but I couldn't find it, so I'm working on the second one now.
What did it say in the first one?
The first one you said it's gonna say things that happened in the past will not happen in the future.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll look for that one. And the second one, what was the second one? Somebody got the second one?
Slovakia.
Go ahead.
The second one you said was that Christ was the first fruit to, the first fruit is up to sleep. I'm looking for that one now. Okay, I got the second one out of walk.
Let's get it.
First Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 20. But Christ, but now is Christ risen from the dead.
Right.
And become the first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead.
There we go. So now, if you go believe that, Christ was resurrected from the dead, meaning they killed him, put his body in a tomb, and the Lord put his spirit back in him and rose him up, right? Sometimes you have all type of things happening to this body. It's embalmed and different things might have happened to it. But at the end of the day, the life of the body is the spirit, right? So if you could believe that by one man, meaning that people was not, like, death is not natural. We die because of sin. If Adam had not sinned, we wasn't supposed to die. He breathed the breath of life in him. Even after then, men were living hundreds of years. It's only now when we come into a life where we born, we don't get circumcised on the seventh day. We eating all kind of stuff. We doing all kind of stuff. We taught the sin from day one. This is why our lifespan is what it is at this point. We supposed to grow old and live 100 years better. The average black man, the life expectancy is, I think, about 72. That's all that pork we eat. That's all the strange women we dealing with. That's all of the things that we do that go against the Lord, right? Go ahead, Out.
72, 75, that's first. That's for everybody. That's 72 and 75, that's the average lifespan of, the man, period. Black man is more like 35.
The average lifespan for white people is in their 80s. You could go and Google it. and see if it's changed. But they live a lot longer than us. 60, it's between 60 something and 70 something for a black man. I used to have to know these numbers because I sold life insurance. I walk in people's house to tell them when they was gonna die, based on the numbers. Salakia. But yeah, well, either way, now officer got to correct me or whatever. Even if you're right, okay. The point I was trying to make is we ain't living no hundreds of years. Like when we hear that in the Bible, it seems strange. It seems, like something that shouldn't be possible. But at the end of the day, if you look at how much different things are than the way that the Lord wanted them, then you understand why things are like that. All right. The one I was talking about is Matthew 24 and 21. Salakia, was that all on that? Or was it more to it? I was in the
Salakia. The first Corinthians I was just reading?
Con.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's a little bit more.
Go ahead.
Oh, God. Verse 22. For as in Adam all die, even so Christ shall all be made alive.
Okay, so look. All right, so you talking spiritually when we talking about men being raised from the dead, but sometimes you talking about physically as well, right? That scripture that the brother just pulled. What the reason why it's important is because sometimes the Most High did things to make a statement in order for brothers and sisters with a carnal mind to be able to have a sign. If these people got up out the dead, if Christ got up out the dead, then I might get out the grave as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same way. Like I said, it sounds a little far-fetched for us because we ain't never seen it happen before. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that's in here that if it wasn't the Lord doing it, it would not have happened. All right, so go ahead and get me Matthew 24 and 12. Let me read that. That might not be talking about this. It might be speaking on something else, but I just remembered that when we brought it up. Let's read it real quick.
Shalakia.
Go ahead.
Matthew 24 and 12.
Go ahead, read 24 and 20. 24 and 20. Salakia.
Shalakia. Matthew chapter 24, verse 20. For pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world. To this time, no, nor ever shall be.
Okay, yeah, that's the scripture I was talking about, but this is talking about when Christ is returning. So, I just think about it like when Christ died, there was things that was happening in the earth. When Christ lived, there was things happening in the earth that has not happened before then and will not happen after. And it's going to be the same way when he returned. So I was tying this in with that, but it was not talking about the same time. The time when you pulled was speaking of when Christ was resurrected. The time that I just pulled right here was speaking when he returns. All right, so, but they do have some similarities, but it would be a good precept for it. All right, everybody understand what just happened? Somebody let me know if you're confused. All right. Did I answer your question out?
Sir.
All right. Anybody else got any questions? Most High correct. Go ahead, Out.
Shalakia, sir. Who are you speaking to?
Go ahead, DeAndre.
All right. The question that I have is when you say I'm kind of confused because when you say some things are spiritual in the word or it is taken literal. So my question is, we know that the Bible says that he that loves the Father more than me is not worthy of me. And we know what that means, of course. But then when you get to Matthew's 13, it says that when I'm gonna just read the verse. 48, it says, but he answered and said unto him.
Salakia. Let's let everybody get there if you're going to pull the scripture. Yeah, everybody go. Where you say Matthew?
Matthew 13:48.
Let me get there with you. Matthew chapter 13, verse 48. I got it, and I'm flipping pages, so everybody with a digital sword should be there. Go ahead. What now? You said your question is what?
My question is, like when Jesus was saying, okay, he's saying that he that loveth his mother or father is not worthy of me.
Right.
That's in chapter 10.
Right.
Then when we move forward and we go along, he's explaining to his disciples now in chapter 13, in verse 48, he's saying, but he answered and said to them that told him, that his family was outside. He said, who is my mother and who is my brethren? And those that do the will of my father is my mother and my brethren. So we know what that is. Also, so I'm saying, I'm asking this to say, when Jesus was speaking to his mom, he called her a woman and stuff like that. So I'm saying, like, is that a spiritual thing, or was he being disrespectful, or was he dishonoring her authority, or what is that? Okay.
This is no different than what we have to deal with in the truth and dealing with the truth. You have your family, your literal family, who you were born into, your mother, your father, your brothers and your sisters, right? When you become a new creature in Christ, when you become a new man, when you put off that old man and the brother that everybody know that used to rob and sell dope and smoke weed and deal with all kind of women and do all types of a manner of evil in the world, when you ain't that person no more, you become a new person, right? That's what we call being in the truth. Now, when you become that person, the people that know you, that grew up with you, gonna look at you like you crazy because they looking for the same dude you always been, right? But you knew. Now you got a new family. Who is your mother and your father now? Now your brothers is the men of the Lord that serve with you, that's changed their life, that went through the same thing you went through. Your fathers are, the generals and the brothers that's been doing it for all their life, who are going to take you as a baby and raise you up to be a man in this truth. You know what I'm saying? Your sisters are the sisters in this school that's going to feed you when you go out to camp, that's going to sew garments and braid hair and do all these different things that brothers need in order for us to be able to change our lives and come into this truth, the support system that brothers need, where he knows it is somebody that got his back, etc., etc. So when Christ was speaking to his mama, he was just speaking to her on the long lines of she wasn't in the truth. He wasn't disrespecting her. He didn't call her out her name. He didn't, but he told her what authority he had to be up under. Christ chose the path that I choose right now, that if you were smart, you would choose. When he's saying, if you love your mama or your brother or your sisters or your daughter more than me, he's not telling you to disrespect your mama. But he is saying, if my mama tell me to come to Thanksgiving dinner and eat some pork, and the Lord said, don't go, then I choose what the Lord said to do over my mama. If my mama wants a gift for Mother's Day, and I understand that it's the celebration and the worship of a Greek god or a Greek goddess, then I'm not going to do it. She going to feel like I hate her because I don't call her. My daddy still feel like every time it's Father's Day or it's his birthday and I don't call him, I hate him. Do I really hate him? It's relative. I just don't love him as much as I love the Lord. Sometimes you might think you want to treat yourself to some of the things that you used to do in the world. But if you love yourself more than the Lord, you're going to do that. But if you really love the Lord, you're going to deny yourself and you're going to serve your Lord, who is Christ. Your woman may want to go do this and do that, and you telling her another different thing. Well, if she really loved the Lord, she's going to deny herself and serve her Lord, which is you. This is what he's talking about. Now, it's not talking about being disrespectful. I got a whole class on that we can go into tonight about how to deal with family and coming into the truth. And if any of y'all brothers who new to the truth having a struggle with this, we could do it. And this verse that the brother is pulling, is it 14 or 13 and 48?
It mean, Shalaki is 13:48.
Matthew chapter 13.
48 and 49.
Salaki, that ain't what I got for Matthew chapter.
Salaki,
you sure it ain't Luke?
Salaki, sir.
Go ahead.
I think he means chapter 12 of Matthew.
Chapter 12?
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is one of my favorite scriptures right here, and we use this a lot in here. Basically, what he was saying is he was going about the business of the Lord. It's no different than if your family see you and you out at camp, you holding posts, you helping the brothers teach them, you serving the men of the Lord who serve the Lord, and the rank goes all the way up back to Christ, which goes up to the Most High. And your homeboy come by and he see you, he like, oh, what's up, boy? This, that. But you on Shamar. You making sure that ain't nobody trying to take your brother's life. Then you have to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? You can say, what's up? Hey, you need to go to the table and ask some questions. If you have something other than that, I'm going to talk to you later. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing right out here. I got something more important. The precept for this would be I have to be about my father's business. Somebody get me that one. I have to be about my father's business. 2 and 49, right? I gotta be about my father's business. What Christ wasn't doing, he wasn't disrespecting his mama, but he knew that he had something that was more important that was going on that she did not understand. And he was just making sure that he let her know that what he was doing was from the Most High. It was the work of the Lord. And that's what it's talking about. If you can't stop, you know what I'm saying, serving the people that's around you, your homeboys that want you to come and smoke with them, this broad that wants you to get a tape up, your mama that wants you to buy her something for Christmas, then you will never serve the Lord because you love them more than you love the Lord. At some point in your life, you have to decide who you love because the Lord gave you that mama. The Lord gave you them brothers that you had that raised you up and you wore their clothes and all that other stuff. He also giving you new brothers. It's another scripture I'll give you. Let me get that one real quick. Hold on. Somebody got the scripture?
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
The book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 49. Or I'll start at 48. Luke, chapter 2, verse 48. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrow.
Stop right there. This is a cold cut that I use every time somebody try to tell me about the virgin birth and all of this other stuff. Like Christ ain't had no daddy. What did Mary, the mother of Christ, who knew who her baby's daddy was, what did she say to Christ right there? Read it again.
Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing.
Who is he talking about? Who is she talking about?
Shalakia.
Go ahead.
She talking about David.
Somebody else give it a crack. Somebody else give it a try. Go ahead.
She's talking about Yahushua.
Somebody else give it a try. She talking to. Hold on 1 second. She talking to Yahushua. But who is she talking about when she say, I and thy father have sought thee looking for you? Who is she talking about? Whoever said it first, go ahead.
She's talking about Joseph, sir.
She's talking about Joseph, her husband. Now, you think she don't know who her son's father is? Now, watch his response to her. Go ahead and read it from the top again. I just had to bring out, that's one of the cuts I use in the virgin birth breakdown. Like Mary knew who the father was. There's plenty of other people say son of Joseph. Yahushua, the son of Joseph, have mercy on me. But that ain't the topic. Keep going on.
Okay. This is Luke chapter 2, verse 48.
And when they saw him, they were amazed. His mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowfully. And he said unto them, How is it that ye sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my father's business?
This is what he's doing. He's talking to his mama. He know that's his mama and his daddy. They like, where you at? Christ in there getting it in. Christ teaching. He battling grown men in the scriptures and all kind of stuff. They're like, man, we've been looking for you. Why you did us like that and ran off like that? He like, Ma, didn't you know? I got to be about my father's business. Now, what father is he talking about? Is he talking about Joseph?
Shalakia.
Go ahead.
He's talking about the Most High.
He's talking about the Most High. Now, what he wasn't disrespecting them, but what he was saying is, this work that I got to do, I got to answer to the Most High about this work. I know I got to answer to y'all. No disrespect, but don't you know? Don't you see? Didn't the angels come to you and tell you what I was going to do before I was even born? You should already know that I got to be about my father's business. I got to do the work of the Lord. And when my mama come and say, hey, we was looking for you at the family reunion. Hey, we was looking for you. You know, we had a get together. We got together for the 4th of July and you wasn't there. You ain't ever had nothing. Don't you know, Mom? I got to be about my father's business. All right? So it ain't no disrespect to your mama to do the work of the Lord or to even let her know that's what you're doing. You got to always respect your mother and father. That's the only law that give you a promise along with it, that your days be long, right? Got to do that. But at the same time, you can't show them more honor than you show the Most High. Give me Matthew chapter 19, verse 27, real quick. Another one of my favorite scriptures. Another one of my favorite scriptures. Everybody following me so far, right? Y'all make sure y'all ask the questions if it's on the topic. Like, even while I'm still giving the brother the answer, you could ask the question. But go ahead, whoever got the precept, whoever got the scripture, tell them where you at. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 27. There answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all, follow thee. What shall we have therefore?
Here you go, right here. Christ remember when Christ was going and picking up brothers, some of them cats was on their job. They was on their slavery catching fish. He was like, man, you got to walk off. I need you to come help. I want to show you how to go and get back the nation of Israel. I'm going to show you to make you fishers of men. And them brothers walked out their jobs and followed Christ. Them brothers left. They had families, all this. They left and went to go and learn this truth. No different than the same thing you doing by putting on your all black and coming to class and separating yourself from the rest of the world. You still got a family. You still got people who love you in the world. And you're going to forsake all of that to serve the Lord. Well, what do you get out of it? This is the question Peter's asking. It's a very good question. Go ahead and read it. Read it over again.
Chapter 19, verse 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore?
Keep going.
And Yahweh shall say unto them, Verily, I say unto you, that ye which have followed me
Stop.
in the regeneration.
Stop right there. Truly I say unto you. This is what Yahushua's answer. Truly I say unto you, them people that's done followed me in the regeneration. Somebody tell me what the regeneration is. Go ahead.
Reincarnation.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay.
Or
Yeah,
generation still out of
we'll
work.
take that. We'll take that. We'll take reincarnation or when you born again, right? Go ahead. Go ahead and read.
Oh, God. In the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his Lord.
When you live again and you born again, and I'm sitting in the throne of my glory, this is what Yahweh Shah is saying. You follow me now. What's going to happen is when you come into the kingdom and I'm the king, keep going.
Oh, God. He also shall sit upon 12 thrones.
You're going to rule as well. You're going to be a part of the government that I'm going to have. Keep going.
Oh, God. Judging the 12 tribes. Israel.
Judging everybody on the planet.
12 tribes. Israel.
This is what the Bible is all about. The 12 tribes of Israel are the most important people on the face of the earth to the Lord. It's the only people that he knows. It's the only people Christ came to save. And these are the people who are going to rule under Christ over the rest of the other nations. Well, these brothers who came in, they get to rule over the people of God who will be at the top. So they're at the top of the top, sitting on thrones, ruling over the tribes. This is their reward for cutting off and not, you know what I'm saying, not falling victim to following after their woman or their homeboy who say, let's go hit this lick and get this money, or, you know what I'm saying, falling into their own lust and doing all kind of manner of evil against the Lord, changing their life, coming into the truth, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, serving their nation, building up their nation, doing the work of the Lord. What are you going to get? You get to sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, let's get back to the family part as the brother was asking. Keep reading.
Oh, God. Verse 29, sir.
Keep going up.
Everyone that have forsaken house or virgin or sister or father
Don't this sound like the same one that we was talking about? I guess it's Luke 4:20. I believe that's what it is, where he's talking about if you love your mother or brother or sister or father more than me, or your child, or even your own self, you are not worthy to be my disciple. Well, right here, he's saying the same thing over. These are the people who chose Christ over their mother and their father and their sisters and their children and their wives. Chose to serve the Lord instead of serving their children. Chose to serve the Lord instead of serving their wife. Chose to serve the Lord instead of serving their mama. Read that from the top again, verse 29.
Oh, God. Matthew chapter 19, verse 29. And everyone that have forsaken house or brethren or sister or father or mother or wife or children or land for my name's sake.
For what?
For my name's sake.
Not you done forsaking your children because you want to go get high. Not you forsaking your wife because you don't like her attitude. Not you forsaking your mama because she telling you something right and you don't want to hear it. Those that have forsaken these things for my name's sake, to follow Christ, to do the work of the Lord, what's going to happen?
Shall receive 100-fold.
Shall receive what?
Everlasting life.
Shall receive what?
Shall receive 100-fold.
100-fold, right? So if you left your daddy, if you forsake your daddy to follow Christ, you're gonna get 100 daddies, right? You forsake your children to follow Christ, you'll get more children. If you gotta forsake your wives to follow Christ, you'll get 100-fold. That's what the scriptures say. And What else?
And shall inherit everlasting life.
And shall inherit everlasting life. Everybody who's in the Truth 101 class every week, what is the everlasting life? This means you live forever and not die?
Salakia.
Go ahead.
About rulership.
Who is this that answered this question?
Young man Keith.
Okay. Let me get somebody who's been in the class a little bit longer. What is the everlasting life Christ is speaking of?
Salakia.
Go ahead.
When you die, your kids will inherit the kingdom, and then you'll be reincarnated after that.
Simpler. Let's make it simpler than that. What is life? According to the scriptures. Yeah, I knew if I asked it like that, then we'd get another couple people chiming in. Let me let somebody else go. Itazal, whoever was after you. Somebody said Salaki. Who was that?
Salaki said the shop.
Go ahead. Go ahead, officer.
Yeah, life is like the law, statutes, and commandments. Knowing how to live.
Okay. Life is, let me make it simpler so everybody understand. Life is the result of following the law, statutes, and commandments. For the sake of everybody who don't know the answer, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Matter of fact, let's go to Deuteronomy 30 and 19 real quick first. A lot of times we be in class, and what happened is we hear things so much, and then we hear something else, and then we hear something else. But the whole purpose of this class is to make sure that y'all understand the basics. When Christ is talking about everlasting life, what the brother was swinging out was right. It do got something to do with you dying and your kids, but this is talking about while you living, you getting a chance to partake in the Lord's blessings. That life is, you ever heard somebody say we alive but we ain't living? Black people ain't living, we surviving. This can't be life. Somebody who doing good, I'm living the life, man. I'm just living life, man. Right? Remember, the Bible is a black book. When you talking about life, you ain't just talking about being alive, breathing. What if you alive, but you got AIDS, you got high blood pressure, you got all kind of manner of disease, you broke, you suffering, you got Donald Trump telling you that you ain't gonna get your food stamps if he don't get no wall. Is that life? Can't be life. Ain't nobody got the scripture yet? Deuteronomy 30 and 19. 30 and 19. I believe that's it. Go ahead.
Sure. I think it's verse 15.
All right, let's get verse 15 first, and then I want you to go to 19.
Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil, and that I command thee this day to love the Most High thy power, to walk in his ways.
Stop right there.
To keep his commandments.
When he said, this is Moses talking, right? And he said, I have set before thee this day life and death, right? Go down to verse 19 and read that one.
Verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death.
Stop right there. When he said, stop right there. When he said, I have set before you life and death, what, somebody who's not an officer, tell me, what was Moses talking about? When he said, I have set before you this day life and death, what was he talking about? All right, who are the first trooper that said Salakia? Go ahead. Go ahead, Trooper
I'm
Gabar.
sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead, Gabar.
Oh, okay. Life is what comes like with following the law, statutes, and commandment, and death is like the curse that comes with it.
Absolutely.
Death is the curse that comes with it.
With not doing it. Life is what he set before us is the law, statutes, and commandments, the things that the Lord told us to do and the things he told us not to do. And what comes along with that is blessings. Real life. We don't know what real life is because we was born and raised in captivity. We was born and serving another nation. We was born where people die at 65, don't live no longer than 72. We was born where brothers dying at 19 and 20 and getting killed and shot and murdering because you selling dope to your people, because you committing all manner of sin. Where brothers are sleeping with other brothers over women and getting AIDS and all this other stuff and dying at 30. Where you getting cancer because you've been smoking cigarettes since you was 12 years old. This the life we know, and that ain't life. The life that we were supposed to have is to follow and keep the law, statutes, and commandments and get the blessings that come along with it. That's life. So Moses taught us how to do that by telling us, thou shalt do this. Thou shalt keep the Passover. Thou shalt keep the Sabbath day. Thou shalt not do this. Thou shalt not, deal with sisters from deal with women from another nation. Thou shalt not deal with your brother's spouse. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not eat fish that don't have, or things of the sea that don't have fins and scales. These are all the things, and blessings come with following this. You following the creator, the heaven and the earth. Why you think if you don't be obedient to him, you won't get the blessings? What are those blessings? We'll get to that in a second. Read verse 19 again.
Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing.
There it is right there. Life is the blessings. Death is the curses. Everybody follow me, right? Life is the blessings that come with keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Death is the cursing. You ever seen somebody who ain't dead, but they suffering and they going through all kind of hell? They wish they would die. That's death. That's what we're going through every day here in America in this captivity. Every day that we decide to keep doing things the way that we was taught to do it growing up, the way our grandmama and them did it. But at some point, you got to understand that you want life, which is rulership, which is blessings, which is all the things that the Lord said he would give you for keeping his laws. And you want to stop getting death, which is the curses and all the things that the Lord said he was going to do to you if you didn't do it. Keep going.
Therefore, choose life.
Do what?
That both
do what?
Choose life.
Choose to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments so that you will be able to partake in the blessings that come along with it. I remember brother asking questions like, do you have, can you do whatever you want in this earth? I mean, no. I can't go and make myself be a millionaire tomorrow. If so, I would do that. And I would pay my tithes. And brothers and sisters would have housing and all of this other stuff. Can I just usurp authority over the white man that the Lord that put over me? Can I just go and take over a land without having an army? No, you can't do whatever you want in this life. You do what you're allowed to do. But there is a choice. You can choose to do good and evil. That's the choice that you have. That's what you can control. You can't control anything outside of your household as far as the rules that get made. They got to stand your ground law right now. Every time Martin Luther King Day come up, I think about the sister I met last year at the parade whose son got killed in cold blood in front of his house. And the white man said it was a stand your ground law because he provoked the jit to hit him. And as soon as he did, he murdered him. We don't make these laws, so we ain't in control. But what we do have is a choice. And Moses told us what to choose. What did he say? Choose what?
Oh, God. Choose life.
And what happens when you choose life? Keep reading.
Oh, God. That both thou and thy seed may live.
So you and your child will live. There goes what the brother was talking about. So even when you die, your family and your lineage continues to live on. Right? So that you could come back into this earth as one of your great-great-grandchildren, if Lord allow. Now, so now we know what life and death is. Let's elaborate on that a little bit. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. You hear this all the time, the curses. Everything from verse 32 on down, right? Or verse, is it 32? Verse 15 on down. Those are the curses. You would go into, you would be put on ships. You would serve other gods. The Lord will bring a nation to you afar that you don't know. All of these different things was told to you as the curses. This is the death that Israel would serve. You're alive, but you ain't living. This ain't life. This ain't what life's supposed to be. What life is supposed to be is Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 14. So let's get a little bit of that real quick. Somebody go ahead and give it to me. I gotta read it myself. Who is that? Who's reading?
I was in the shop.
Nah, somebody else read. There's other people in the class. Y'all ain't got what y'all doing? It's a class, man. Come on now, participate. Let's get it. Go ahead.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 14. And he answered me and said, the thing which thou hast spoken.
28, verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1.
Shalakia. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments.
We pulled this earlier. Keep going.
Which I command thee this day, that the Most High thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. That's one of the things about living life. You get set on high. You in rulership. You don't have to serve no other nation. They serve you. The Bible say the world was made for our sakes. Why are we on the bottom? Because we ain't do what the Lord said do. Keep reading. Oh God, verse 2. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee.
The blessings are going to come on you and overtake you. Meaning when you following and keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, the things that he's going to do, you ain't going to be able to escape from. Just like when you breaking the laws of the Lord, the things that he's going to do, you ain't going to be able to escape from. It's going to overtake you. Whatever you're doing in your life, whatever you was doing, when you start to keep these laws and do what the Lord say, these blessings will overtake you. Keep going.
Oh God, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power. Verse 3, blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Verse 4, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground.
Stop right there. Go to verse 7 real quick.
Karawakan. Verse 7. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways.
Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? Wouldn't that be nice? That we ain't got to worry about losing no war, man. We don't even have an army because we going through the curses. We going through all the stuff that we read all the time when we out at camp about what's happening to black people. We don't even get to read this because we know we ain't do it. It's like sitting there being like, oh man, if I would have did this when I was 15, I would have had this amount of money. And if I'd have started putting up $100 a month or a week, by now I would be having $200,000 because of the interest that are, it's like going backwards. Everybody know Israel broke the law, statutes, and commandments. So anybody on this phone do not know that Israel pissed the Lord off and went against his ways and went and served the other nations and tried to be like the other nations. They sold, gave our children up to Baal and burnt incense to the Queen of Heaven and followed out the other gods that was not gods at all, but idols of the other nations. Anybody on here don't know that? Okay, because there's precepts for all of that. So everybody know that. Now we know why we in the condition we in, but we was promised that if we did what the Lord said, that these blessings would overtake us. We would have an army, and anybody that came against us would leave and be smitten and leave 7 different ways. Right? Read verse 9.
Oh God. Verse 9. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Most High thy power, and walk in his ways. And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Most High, and they shall be afraid of thee.
Now, who's afraid? They murdering our kids in the streets and nothing happening to them. They locking us up to the tune of it's over 2 million blacks and Hispanics locked up in the prison system. Ain't nothing happening. Flint still ain't got water. Ain't nothing happening. Are they afraid of blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians? No, they look at us like slaves. They look at us like we to know people. In reality, they to know people. Keep reading now.
God. Verse 11. And the Most High shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Most High sware unto thy fathers to give thee.
So he already promised us that we have a land. Do y'all have a land of your own where you make the laws, where you say what goes? We ain't get none of that. Just so y'all understand, this is the everlasting life that Christ was talking about when he said, whoever has left mother and sister and brother to follow me, they'll get 100-fold. And they'll also get the life, the blessings that come along with keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and serving me. Because following Christ is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Everybody understand?
Oh, God.
All right, DeAndre, did I answer your question? Y'all know?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I got another quick question real quick.
Hold on 1 second. Did I answer that question about, was he disrespecting his mom and all of that stuff? I came up, I was taught everything I know by Officer Shawariyala, so I'm a little long-winded. Sometimes I'll go into stuff, go off on a rant, but the whole point is to make sure you understand the point. Do you understand that question before we go to another one? All right, Most High in Christ. Real quick, before the brother asks the question, do anybody else have a question? Because I know this brother comes to class. This brother comes to class ready to learn with questions and things that he's been lied to about in his life. Every class, it seemed like, the brother DeAndre got questions, and it's a good thing. This is why we do this. Ain't nowhere else on the earth you're going to be able to go, but somebody will take you and show you in the scriptures what they talking about, where you've been lied to, how to fix it, how to get it right. Where's this law? What's that? So I know the brother, he going to ask his question. I'm gonna just give y'all if you don't mind, let me go ahead and give one brother or sister a chance to ask their question. Don't forget your question and hold it, DeAndre, for a second. I'm gonna come back to you. All right. All right. Somebody else got a question?
No,
All right, go ahead.
Oh God, if I could, it's also I had a quick question. And I wanted to ask you earlier because it was kind of got brought up. You know what I'm saying? It was a good topic. It was in the topic. But my question is, if you die without having children, can you still be reborn or reincarnated?
Okay. Are you familiar with the the law that was when Israel was a small nation? They had a law that was in place that, let's say I die and I did not have any sons or any children with my wife. What was supposed to happen in order to make sure that my legacy lived on?
If I could, your brother or something would marry your rib and give her a kid, or just have a kid with your rib.
To continue your legacy of living on, because remember, you are who your father is. So it would have to be now, because Israel's so split up. When we say our brother, we talking most of the time we think about somebody who had the same mother as us, but it would be the brother who has the same father as you, so that legacy would live on. So when we were a small nation, the Lord made it like that to make sure that that bloodline of people continue to live on, and he would put those same spirits back in there. Through reincarnation, it's not necessarily that guarantee that you're going to come back anyway. The Lord chooses what spirits he wants to send back in the earth. And it's not you that's coming back. It's the spirit that's coming back into another person. You're a totally different person. So to answer your question in short, yes, you can, because your brother or your cousin or whoever that's in your immediate family, those men that go back, like for instance, our line all stem back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we go back to Jacob. So if you Judah, it goes back to Judah. You understand what I'm saying? There are certain bloodlines in the earth that they don't have enough people to be called a certain people. General Muhammad was breaking that out like 2 weeks ago. He was talking like the Johnsons or whatever when he was talking about Dan. Dan is not enough of Dan to be called a tribe, but it's enough of them to be called a large family, still living within, I believe it's Simeon, if I'm not mistaken. It's something like that. So if you don't come back through there, you will come back through one of your brother's kids or one of your first cousins that's on your father's side or whatever the case may be. But it's not guaranteed that that spirit comes back at all. The Lord chooses what spirit he wants to send back in the earth. And yours may just be one of a kind, once in a lifetime, or it could be one that's been here 1,000 times already and never got it right. So, you know, I try not to deal with reincarnation besides the fact of knowing that in the scriptures it says that the Lord brings back the spirits. But to think about it like, if you ain't do this or that or the other, and you know what I'm saying, it's a touchy subject for me because I ain't got no boys, I ain't got no sons. So but yeah, you can still come through your brother's kids on your father's side, anybody who is in that what they call it, what they call it from your father's side, patrilineal. Anybody from that patrilineal side, you could come back through. The same bloodline goes through the father. All right. All right, DeAndre, go ahead and ask your question, and then we'll get to if anybody else had any questions.
The question I have is, when you were talking about breaking the law and things of that nature, you stated that back in the day, in our ancestry time, they screwed up with the Most High by not following the law, statute, commandment with certain things. And you mentioned the burning of incense. So my question to you is, if I burn incense for the smell, just to make my house smell nice, am I breaking the law?
Nah, you're not. As a matter of fact, if you watch the Sabbath services and some of the different services that we burn incense, but we're burning incense to the Lord. We know who the Creator is. When it's talking about burning incense to other gods, it's talking about setting things on fire to sacrifice to other gods. So it's just like I got a class where I was like smoking weed is idol worship, because when Israel lit anything on fire, whether it was meat, whether it was wood and sweet smelling, it's a sweet smelling savor in the Lord's eyes to do that. But for these other guys, people set their babies on fire. People smoke weed to other guys. People burn all kinds of different things in order to represent them sending the smoke going up into the heavens as to serve other gods. So it's not against the law to burn incense. When I say burn incense to the other Lord, it's just talking about you sacrificing something. Sacrificing meaning it's a meat or something like that, or you burning incense to a God that is not your own. As long as you know who the Most High is, as long as you're not, getting high and doing all things that's against your God, when you burning incense, there's nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, we do it in some of the services we have, but we know who our God is. We know who we serve, so it's not a problem. All right? All right. Anybody else got any questions?
Lakia.
Go ahead.
Don, sir, it was pretty much like offside, because I was asking, I want to know if, for example, if you're Israel and you've been like a wicked person in your life as an Israelite, you didn't know you're an Israelite, could you probably be like, would the Most High or put your spirit into like a heathen's body or a heathen family if you didn't have any seed? It
don't work like that. The same spirits that the Lord chose from the beginning, he brings them back. He brings them back through their children or through people that are of that same bloodline. You know how you have these gay people was like, yeah, I was born a man, but I was a woman in my former life. That's not possible. Or I'm a white man trapped in a black man's body. That's not possible. It's all spiritual, right? Let me make this clear when it comes to reincarnation. You are not you coming back. There will be another Keith. There will not be another Kazak Thamar coming back in this earth. But the spirit that's in me, the Lord can choose to put it in another body. It's going to have different parents, might look different, but it'll be the same spirit, be the same person. For lack of a better way to explain it. But no, you always come back in your same tribe. You always come back as the same gender. You always come back usually with the same temperament. And you could be getting judgment from another life, even as an Israelite or whatever the case may be, but under no circumstance would you be an Israelite and what that spirit of the Most High. Had the spirit of the Most High. Remember, Israel is the Lord's chosen people, and then come back and be a heathen. It don't work like that. All right. All right, go ahead. Women will always come back as a woman. She would always come back as the same tribe that her father was. And she will always have the same spirit that she had, because it's spiritual. It's not carnal. You don't get this same body again and get to go and do it again. So like right now in this body that I have, I'm dealing with, I don't know, some sinus issues or something like that. Lord allow, I come back, I ain't gonna have the same problem. There's probably judgment from something I did before, but that's a whole nother story. All right, but yeah, it's women as well. A woman's gonna come back through her father's line. So it'll be her brother's kids or her father's grandkids, vice versa, and so on and so forth. Anybody else got any questions?
So
Salakia, sir.
Go ahead, sis.
I have two questions, but first I'd like to respond to something you said earlier about everlasting life.
Go ahead.
Actually, yeah. You kind of threw me off. You were talking about everlasting life. It was so beautiful, you know, the blessings and all, right? And then you kind of threw me off when you said, as far as when the brothers mentioned reincarnation, you said we can come 1,000 times or we can come once in a lifetime, and that was threw me off. I don't want to live once in a lifetime. So is this something you just throwing in there, like the Most High could do what He wants, or is it something He'll actually do? Because I mean, everlasting life, I'm like, I want to keep enjoying blessings, but I don't want to do it once.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So let's do this then. Since this is what we on, I didn't have no intent on doing this, but since you brought it up, let's go ahead and do it. First of all, sis, what did you do the last time you were on this earth?
I have no idea.
Right. Right. Somebody give me Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Verse 10. Start at verse 9.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9.
Salakia.
The thing that has been.
Nah, go ahead. Go ahead. I was just going to have somebody else read. Go ahead. You've been reading a lot. Go ahead.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
Okay, stop right there. This is one of the reincarnation scriptures that we're talking about. It's talking about a thing here, but it's not saying what this thing is. This thing that has been is the thing that shall be. And there's none new under the sun, right? Keep reading.
Verse 10. Is anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new, it has been already of old time, which was before us.
So stop right there. Now, when we talking about the internet and technology and cars and all this new stuff, the iPhone 12 and all this other stuff, that stuff ain't been before. So this thing that it's talking about is a certain thing that you cannot say is new. It has been before us. Here's the answer to your question, sis. Read verse 11.
Verse 11. There is no remembrance of former things.
Read it again.
There is no remembrance of former things.
If you was blessed in the past, and you got all the blessings of the Lord and you did everything right and He blessed you and you was in rulership and you was, the wife of a king or whatever you was in your past lifetime, you don't remember none of it. So what does it matter? Read it again.
There is no remembrance of former things.
We talk about this all the time. Well, we bring up reincarnation. We're not trying to get spooky about it. What we just want to let you know is that your spirit is an eternal being. Your spirit lasts forever. Your spirit never dies, but your body will. And there will be no remembrance of the things you did. If you want to remember the blessings, if you want to say, you're like, I want to be blessed and I don't want to partake in the blessings forever. When start serving the Lord now, and He'll give you those blessings. And you might not remember when you come back, but you'll reap the benefit of those blessings in your next lifetime. But here's the other part to it. Go ahead and read.
Neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after.
So you ain't gonna know, like when you in your other body, like this is right. These are the results of what I did when I was Sister Annette, of me changing my life. right now I'm in a good position and in a position of rulership because of what I did. And it don't work like that. So if your spirit never comes back in the earth, you just make sure that you make the most out of the time that you have right now. Because it's appointed to a man one time to die, and after the death, the judgment. And your judgment could be is that spirit gets the chance to be with the Lord forever and never have to come back in flesh. Yahushua died 2,000 years ago. His spirit ain't came back. You think that's a bad thing? It's a scripture that says to be absent of the flesh is to be present with the Lord. You understand that, right?
Pastor.
So let's talk about this thing that it's talking about. Let's get that real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 10. Go ahead. Find out what
Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 10. That which has been is named already.
Remember, it was talking about something. Remember, it was talking about something that's been already, and there was nothing new under the sun. And I said it wasn't talking about the iPhone 12 or the iPhone 6 or the iPhone 8. It wasn't talking about the brand new 2019 Maserati. It wasn't talking about that. That thing that was been that it was talking about has been named already. Go ahead.
And it is known that it is man.
It is what? It is what?
And it is known that it is man.
That thing that it was talking about, where it said ain't no new thing under the sun, it was talking about it was man. Give me Ecclesiastes 12:7 real quick. Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 6.
Verse 7. And this is going to tell you what happens after you die. Go ahead.
Then shall the dust turn to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it.
So when you die, something happens where the person you was becomes two different beings. That flesh returns back, the dust returns back to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns unto God who gave it. So sis, if you never came back, where would your spirit be?
With the Most High.
With the Most High. It's not a bad thing. The only reason you're thinking about it being a bad thing is because the only life we remember and the only life we know is the one that we have right now. All right, so did I answer your question?
Yeah, but now you maybe have another question.
You already had two. Hold on, Salakia. You already had two. So is the question more important than the other question you had? Hold on, let me get one more.
No.
Let me get one more scripture in before you ask that question. Give me Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 16. Give me Ecclesiastes 3 and 16. Salakia. Let's go up.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 16. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment.
Stop right there. And moreover, I saw under the sun. What's under the sun? Anybody that's not an officer or a trooper. Young man or sister only. What's under the sun? Go ahead. Earth. The earth is under the sun. So I saw on the earth the place of judgment. What does this mean? The things that you're doing in this life, you will be judged for right here on earth. I know. Sound crazy, don't it? You don't get to die and go into a hole in the ground that they call hell or into a place in the sky that they call heaven. The judgment happens here. Heaven and hell is right here on the earth. It's the rulership that you're going to come in or serving another nation that you're going to come into when you live again on this earth. So he's looking at, he see under the sun the place of judgment. Go ahead.
At wickedness was there.
How is wickedness in the place of judgment if somebody is being judged for the righteousness that they do? If you serve the Lord all your life and you get judged, how is it going to be wickedness in the kingdom of heaven? Keep reading up.
And the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there.
How is it going to be righteous or iniquity in the place of righteousness? Because it's all happening on the earth. You are here to be judged for what you already done. I just wanted to make sure and bring that out. The things that you're doing right now and the things that you do in prior life, you are getting judged for it right now, whether it be righteousness and you get to be blessed while you watch brothers and sisters get shot and murdered and raped and robbed and all this other stuff in the hood. And you just see it. You like, hey, none of that happened to me. I ain't never been molested. I ain't never had this happen. I ain't never been hooked on drugs. Well, maybe the Lord showed you some type of mercy for something that you might have did that you don't even remember doing. Maybe he showed you mercy and you deserve to be dead, robbed, murdered, whatever the case may be. Who knows? We don't remember things from the other time. Point is, everything gonna happen on this earth. If you ain't got to come back, then that means some kind of way that you've done enough that the Lord decided to keep your spirit with him. All right. Go ahead, sis. Ask your other question.
All right. Actually, it's still two, but I'll just ask one.
Go ahead.
It's still related to the topic. About everlasting life. Would that be a precept? Would that be one of the precepts to that be John 10 and 10?
One of the brothers get John 10 and 10 for the sister. I'm on my way there right now. Let me see. Answer the question. Then we'll read it. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. You could be born, right? It's like I said earlier. We say a lot of things. We talk about heaven and hell being on the earth. That's a breakdown in the school, because before you came into the truth, you thought about heaven being a place in the sky. You go and you meet God, and they got gold streets and all this other stuff. And you talk about hell being a place in the earth with a red man with a pitchfork and a spiked tail and all of this other stuff tormenting you. Okay, these are all different ideas that were based off of what is the reality. And the reality is the heaven is for you to have other nations to serve you, for you to be able to be in rulership, for you to not have to cut your own grass, take out your own trash, do all the stuff that black people do in these hotels and as CNAs and as construction workers and all of this other stuff to build up the white man's kingdom. It'll be the other way around. You understand? You have other nations to build up your kingdom. You have other nations to serve you. That's heaven and hell breakdown. Anybody have not been through that, we can go through it next week. I can break it all down for you. Now, John 10 and 10 is where Christ said something profound, but if you don't understand what he was talking about, he was talking about not just being alive as far as you breathing, but it's something greater to it. I always use this when I'm talking about what's life and what's death when it comes to the Lord. So let's go ahead and read it. Somebody read it for the sister. Go ahead, Al.
John chapter 10, verse 10. The thief comes not for to steal and to kill and to destroy.
Who is the thief?
I am.
Who is the thief? Oh, don't get quiet. We all in this joint. Go ahead, Al.
The white man?
Yes. I thought somebody was gonna say the devil first, and then I was gonna ask who the devil was, but the brother skipped the middleman. It's the white man in these times. And anybody following the white man, anybody that's living by his customs, anybody that tell you pork is the other white meat, homosexuality is an alternative lifestyle, anybody tell you that the law, statutes, and commandments are done away with, where Christ said, as long as you standing on heaven and earth, there should not one jot or one tittle pass from the law. So this thief, this person with this idea, the same one that was in the garden that said, "Oh, you surely won't die if you don't do what the Lord said to do. He just don't want you to be great." It's the same spirit that's in the earth tonight, and the white man inhabits that spirit right now. But it's been other nations before the white man was relevant. But right now, it's the white man. Okay, the thief, the person with that spirit, comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Right? It's Christ speaking, right? He's in red. Yep. Go ahead, keep reading.
Cut it on top. I am come that they may have life.
But I've come that they might have life. But wait a minute, we already living. We alive right now. Y'all see me on the YouTube. Y'all hear me on this thing talking. Y'all alive right now. You eating, you sleeping, you going to the restroom, you making babies, you doing everything. You alive, right? But this ain't life, huh? Living up under and dealing with the things that Donald Trump give us ain't life. All the things that we thought was important, because at the end of the day, you know, I went through a point in my life when I was getting ready to take my office test, where I had to go and sit up, go to what they call a labor pool. I don't know if any brothers in here ever had to go to the labor pool. Okay, I went to the labor pool with people who would work, and at the end of the day, all they were going to do is take that money and get high with it and come back and do it all over again. This was their life. They was alive, but they wasn't living. They never owned anything. They never got ahead. They never got out of the same rat race that it's always been. It was just a matter of them surviving, living to get high, living to die. But Christ said, I came that you may have life, but not just the life where you was just surviving. But what's the last part he said? Whoever was reading.
And that they might have it more abundantly.
That you may have an abundant life, abundance of life. That you may have all the blessings that we read about in Deuteronomy 28 earlier. Yes, that's the life that the Lord wanted you to have. That's the life the Lord wanted your husband to have. This is the life the Lord wanted your kids to have. But we refuse to do what Peter them did. Peter them said, we have forsaken all to follow you. You got to give it all up out. You see all these other people, you know, everybody knows that they're Israelites now. It's in the earth. It's coming out. But people still want to play church after they find out they Israelites. They the people of the book. Still don't want to live by these laws, statutes, and commandments. Want to look at the ISUPK like them brothers is too fanatic. Them brothers is too over the top. You know what? We fighting for these crowns that he talking about to be able to judge the 12 tribes of Israel. We fighting for this abundant life to be able to rule up under Christ. Rulership is heaven. This is what it's all about. This is why Christ said the things that he said. You think he wanted you to hate your mama? You think he wanted you to hate your wife? No, but he wanted you to make a choice. Choose life. Choose life so that you and your seed may live. Christ came that we would have all of those blessings in Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. That's what he's saying right here, sis. All right.
Awesome.
All right, you got another question?
Yeah, since you asked.
Go ahead.
It's kind of off topic, but I just wanted to know.
Hold on. One second. If it's off topic, stop for a second. Anybody else have a question?
I don't even know what the topic is.
It ain't no topic, but it was the questions. The last couple of questions have been about reincarnation, abundant life, keeping the commandments being life, us coming back, things of that nature. So it ain't really, but when you say off topic, I know you finna change and shift gears. Everybody clear on what just happened with the last few questions, reincarnation, all of that other stuff? Anybody need any other precepts on it? Let me know, because this is about to have ask another question. All right.
Sure.
All right, I knew it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hold on but DeAndre, hold tight. Whoever the other brother was that said Salaki, go ahead.
No, Khan, I wanted to know if, like, for example, how come we're in the truth now? If you happen to die while you're in the truth and you reincarnate in your next life, is it up to you to pretty much go back to the truth, or to pretty much your spirit go back into the truth?
The same thing that you're doing now is the same thing you were doing before in your other life or body or whatever you want to say. The spirit does not change. If you have a spirit that's a mind to serve the Lord, then that's what you were doing when you were here before. You're going to be in the truth if you was in the truth before. The same men that followed Christ and during Christ's time, if they back in the earth, they're following Christ now. The same people who oppose Christ, if they're back in the earth, they have a chance to learn more, but they still had a spirit of opposition against what Christ was teaching, against the Lord, against the law, statutes, and commandments. They prefer to live and do the lust of their own desires. But at the end of the day, the mercy that was given to us because Christ took our punishment for us allows us the chance for these same spirits to say, okay, and this time I'm going to get it right. This time I'm going to do it right. Christ came before he was Christ, and he didn't do it right. You understand what I'm saying? So what you were doing before, you still had that same spirit. But as far as you coming in the truth, that's really up to the Most High. The precept I give you to is Romans 9. Let's go there real quick. I'll ask you a question while I'm going there. Real quick.
Ask my question.
Huh?
You said ask my question after?
Go ahead and ask your question while we go into Romans 9. Go ahead.
All right, good. No, I was just going to say, like that, I think that's real heavy because, like, when I first came into truth, I'm probably not the only one, but I felt like, you know, like you was standing there like a call home, you know what I'm saying? Like standing there like I heard it before. It was like hearing it, and you're like, oh, shit, okay, it's time to get back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it felt to me.
Well, what it is that we was always supposed to be in the truth, but we didn't know anything about it. Our mamas ain't teach us nothing about the truth because they didn't know. Our foreparents were lied to, and then through slavery and through Christianity, we took on a form of godliness that wasn't of the Lord. We thought we was doing it right because we taught that going to church and all this other stuff is godliness, but we didn't know anything about keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and pleasing the Most High. So, yeah, you're right. It was a call home. You're supposed to be here. That's why Christ said, my sheep hear my voice. You know what I'm saying? Those people who is given unto you to know the spirits of the mysteries of the spirits, the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but it's not given to them, right? So, yeah, man. Give me Romans 9:16 real quick, and then I'm gonna get DeAndre question, and then we're gonna end the class.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Romans chapter 9, verse 16. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth.
It don't matter what you do. It don't matter what you do, right? You could want to be down all you want to. You know how many people want to be in the ISUPK or never make it? The Lord ain't put the spirit on them to come in here and to humble themselves to a man they don't even know and to follow order. Think about this right here, how hard it is for a sister. A sister will never see or hear the voice of God unless she hear it through a nigga. And she got to be able to disseminate whether or not this nigga is telling her what he want to tell her or whether it's the voice of the God. How does she disseminate that? Because you come in here and you learn the spirit of God. The spirit of God tells you to keep these laws. So if he's telling you anything that's lawful, he's telling you what the Lord said, right? A man is the same way. We ain't going to see Christ. Our Lord is Christ, just like that woman's Lord is her man. Christ was a man. We going by the words of Christ. Christ say, okay, you can't leave your woman. If you do leave your woman for another woman, you causing her to commit adultery. So therefore, the adultery is on you. Meaning you got to keep them. You got to keep them both. Christ said that. So we got to do it. Right? We ain't see him, but we heard it. He said that. So I gotta listen to Officer Shawar Yala, Captain Katazak, Captain Mashak. I gotta answer to Captain Kapash, General Haas, General Muhammad, General Yohana. These are all men. Now, what make me want to listen to a man? I'm a grown. You ever heard somebody say, I'm a grown ass man? Why would I want to come in here and listen to another man? It's the spirit of the Lord on me that want to save my damn life. That want to make me a fine gold. I could do my own thing. I could read the Bible. I was reading the Bible and I knew the scriptures before I ever came into truth. Not on the level that I'm doing it in now, because these men came in and every general you see was a trooper and was a young man and was an officer of 50 and was an officer of 1,000. You cannot become a general unless you first become a trooper. Everybody understand that, right? It's all about rank and order. If you got the spirit to come in here and humble yourself, you can go out and do whatever you want to do. Do you. Go and sell dope, be the biggest kingpin, be the biggest pimp. You can have fun with life. Sisters can do the same thing. If you come in here and you humble yourself, that's the spirit of the Lord working in you to save your life, to take you out of this world and to call you to being a people of himself, which the Lord has done for all Israel who chooses to listen. But it ain't up to you. It is not to him that willeth, nor him that runneth. Keep reading.
God, but of the Most High that showeth mercy.
It's of the Lord that's showing mercy. So if he send you back, then you come into the truth and you wasn't in the truth before, Most High in Christ. That was an opportunity that you needed so that your spirit eternally can have partake in these blessings and that abundant life that Christ was talking about. All right, so it ain't really up to you. You're going to do the same thing that you were doing before unless the Lord changes your spirit and humbles your spirit in order for you to become a disciple of Christ, a follower of what Christ did, knowing he rose people from the dead. He could have became vain. He could have been one of them people that, was full of himself. Nevertheless, not my will, Lord, but yours, is what he said. All right. Did I answer your question, sis?
No. Sis.
All right. What was the question?
I just wanted to know, when was it that Jerusalem? When was it that Jerusalem or Israel, I guess, our homeland? When did it become our homeland?
When did it become our homeland?
Yeah, because I asked because I'm thinking about,
that ain't the question you asked me before, though, right? Hold on 1 second. That ain't the question you asked.
That ain't answered my question. You just told me.
I did answer your question. You just the other question you had, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. Somebody give me that real quick. Then we're going to get to DeAndre's question. Shit.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. When the Most High thy power shall bring thee into the land, whether ye goeth to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the
Girgashites,
and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thee.
7 nations what? Seven nations what?
7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
This is what happened. When the Lord brought us up out of Egypt, we were in the wilderness for all this time. He promised us the land of milk and honey. If you go into it, all this time, he's promising us this land Even Moses sent spies over there. He's like, it's giants, it's all type of people over there. It's nations bigger than us. It's people with armies and everything over there. How are we supposed to get this land? Well, the Lord gave us the promised land. The problem was all the people that he promised to, none of them got to make it except for 2 people. All right. One of them was Yahushua, the first Yahushua, Joshua. Right. And there was another one. I think it was Caleb, if I'm not mistaken. That's when he gave us that land and moved out those nations that were mightier than us. That's when that became our homeland. The Lord showed mercy on us and gave us nations by defeating armies that we could never defeat without him. By taking people out that we would have never been able to move, he gave us that land. And this is why, till this day, we celebrate that. All right, so that's when Jerusalem became our homeland. Israel became the nation of Israel in that land. We had it before then, but it was in that land that the Lord raised up us as a nation and gave us the 12 tribes and chose us as a nation of people. And this was prior to right now in Deuteronomy. We talking about a Levite, one of the sons, and we going back to get this land and the Lord moving us back out. So we became a nation of people. We were goat herders. We were nomads. We roamed from place to place. We were in Egypt. We were in all these different places, but the Lord promised us he would give us this land. That land was Israel and Jerusalem. All right. And he gave it to us for a time. And we did all manner of evil in that land and lost that land. Go ahead.
Okay, Conta.
You got it?
Yes, I got it.
All right. DeAndre, you had a question?
The question I had, the one brother already asked the question, but I just want to, the same question I wanted to ask, he asked it, but I wanted to add just a little bit more because I heard you say that when we're reincarnated, it's Christ's choice whether we come back on earth, you know, or we stay with him.
Salaki, it's not Christ's choice because Christ is not God. It's the Most High's choice.
Salaki, sir.
Go ahead.
The Most High's choice to reincarnate us on earth or to leave us in heaven.
Right.
So my question now is, of course, you already stated that if whatever we was doing when we died, you know, when we get reincarnated, if he chooses to reincarnate us, we'll be doing the same thing. So my question is now, if we're serving the Most High and he decides he wants to reincarnate us, will he be giving us like some type of special orders or a special assignment to do, or is that him giving us another chance or an opportunity to start all over again, to learn all over again?
Well, it's usually both of what you're saying. The spirit that dwelleth in a man or whatever, it's got to be the spirit of the Lord. Somebody give me Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, which we go to almost every week. What happened is, if you were serving the Lord in your past life, he sent that spirit back. That's the same spirit that was serving the Lord. So you automatically had a spirit of obedience. You automatically had a spirit of excellence. You automatically had a spirit of masculinity. You automatically had a spirit to do what the Lord said to do. So if he's sending that back into there, it's the continuation of the children of Israel. I'll give you a scripture on it. Hold on one second. Go ahead.
It was just Ecclesiastes 12, verse 13.
Go ahead.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
You see that? So this is your duty right here, to do the work of the Lord. So when you say, you know, whether or not he giving us another chance or whatever the case may be, it's really sometimes he's sending that spirit in because you were a man that taught. You are a man that raised up other Israel. It's the Lord's will that all Israel come into the knowledge of the truth, that all Israel shall be saved, right? But he already know that some of us ain't. But everything that the Lord does on this earth, he does through a man. Everything. If somebody gonna get blessed, they're gonna get blessed through a man of the Lord. If somebody gonna get cursed, they're gonna get cursed through the spirit of the Lord. The spirit of Satan works. Satan works for the Lord. And his job is to test you to see if you deserve the kingdom. So you might come back because you done did something righteous in your other life, but you just here to be tested again to make sure. Let me make sure this nigga is the spirit that I know that I made him to be. Or is he gonna fall victim? It's just like when he said, have you considered my servant Job? So Job was already serving the Lord. He didn't go through that because he did anything wrong. He went through that as a test for the Lord to make sure he was what he was. Now, I can only wish that I could inherit the spirit that Job had, to become from a man sitting high up to a man that's eating grass and lowly and still serve the Lord. His woman told him he should curse God and die. He still held fast onto serving the Lord. I can only wish I could be that kind of nigga. But yeah, in the reincarnation or whatever the case may be, sometimes you come back as you have a job to do. We all have that duty right there. That's the whole duty of man, is to fear God and to keep his commandments. So we all have that duty. Whether we do it or not, that's on us. That's the choice. Also, sometimes you come back for judgment. You may have been a person that learned about the truth or whatever the case may be, but decided not to. You got to come back and you got to pay for the things that you did. All of this is real. It's kind of spooky when speaking about it because we all living, breathing people. But at the end of the day, we all got to answer for what we doing on this life. And we're going to get some of it while we still live it. You know what I'm saying? But give me 2nd Ezra chapter 14, verse 34. Real quick. 2nd Ezra 14 and 34. Because I know the general's going to be speaking. They probably going to be going in on Michael King Jr., a.k.a. Martin Luther King. Nigga name wasn't even Martin Luther. But anyways. That's what. Go ahead.
Ezra chapter 13, verse 24.
Chapter 14, verse 34.
Therefore, Ezra chapter 14, verse 34. Therefore, if so be that ye shall subdue your own understanding and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive.
Stop right there. Stop right there. If you gonna subdue your own understanding, if you stop thinking about how you think about stuff and how you look at life and what your feelings is about things and how you understand it, if you can overcome your own understanding and reform your mind, when you see heart in the Bible is your mind, then that's when you'll be kept alive. Keep reading.
We shall be kept alive. And after death, we shall obtain mercy.
How can you obtain mercy after you die? You shall be kept alive, and even after death, you'll obtain mercy. Let's read verse 35 and you'll see.
Verse 35. For after death shall be judgment, shall the judgment come, when you shall live again.
We shall do what? We shall do what?
When we shall live again.
Remember the judgment. I saw in the place of judgment that iniquity was there. I saw in the place under the sun, the place of judgment, and iniquity was there. So after the death, shall the judgment come right here on earth, and we shall live again. That's what it say. Go ahead.
And then shall the names of the righteous be manifest.
What that means is he's sorting all this thing out. He want to make sure that he knows who's down for him and who's down for themselves, Who wants to serve him and who wants to serve the gods of the other nations? Who wants to serve the Lord and who wants to serve Satan? This is why you here. Everything you're going through is a test. Are you going to pass the test or not? Are you going to serve the Lord or not? Are you going to serve the Lord or are you going to serve your woman? You going to serve the Lord or you going to serve yourself? You going to serve that demon that wants you to get high? What you going to do? Everything that you going through in life on a day-to-day basis is a test for the Lord to see if you really deserve the kingdom. And when you live again, then shall the names of the righteous be manifest. Go ahead.
And then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
And the things that you did that was against the Most High, those things are going to stand out, and you'll receive the death which is the curses that come along with it. All right. So with that, I'm gonna pass the class over to priest and officer in the shop. We gotta go and get out of here, man. I don't like talking while Commanding General Yohana is talking. All right. So go ahead out. We're gonna go through the announcements and we're gonna salute out. Don't worry about the prayer tonight. All right.
Sir. We are the ISUPK. We are the ISUPK. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We